With pumpkin spice lattes, falling leaves, and sweater weather this season, we want to talk about the month of October. People always associate this month with breast cancer awareness, which is very important. But October is also Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We know the subject can be a little intense for some. We'd like to tread lightly on this particular topic though. So whenever you're ready, Aya.
Viewer discretion advised. This episode contains a minimum description of abuse. Let's talk about it.
You're muted.
You can still hear me, right? I
think you're probably too close.
I love you. Hi, my loves.
Hola, mi amores.
Hope you have your drinks ready for this one.
Yeah, I have my organic caffeine-free raspberry hibiscus tea. What are you drinking?
I'm sipping on some coffee. Yeah, because this is going to be a heavy subject.
Abuse isn't limited to the poor or the unlucky. It doesn't discriminate against your age, your sex, your religion, or even your sexual orientation. There's a lot of people who aren't even aware that they are in an abusive relationship, under the impression that their significant other is simply thinking what is being done is through love or their partner is being protective. Aya is going to begin by providing us with some examples of what an abusive relationship can appear like.
I would like to start off with some famous people that have been in abusive relationships. And here we go. Mike Tyson and Robin Givens were a famous couple back in the late 80s. Robin stated Tyson was abusive towards her before they got married. Physically abusive. She expressed her desire to leave, but Tyson would call her crying, saying he loved her and convinced her to stay. When married, the abuse rapidly increases. Robin attempted to keep it from her family and friends, but her mom caught on. Refusing to leave him, Robin stood by his side, hoping to show him the world could be an okay place. Tyson was both physically and emotionally abusive. According to Robin, after the divorce, in an interview, she said, and I quote, "I remember my ex-husband calling me up and saying, I've decided I'm not going to kill you. I'm going to make your life so miserable. You're going to slit your own throat and die," end quote.
That is crazy. That is determination to a whole other extent. It's one thing, I think, to be caught up in the moment, be enraged to where the anger gets the best of you and you kill the person. But to plan it out, it makes it seem as though it's premeditated, where it's like, I'm gonna make you miserable for you to slit your own throat.
Exactly. Like, I'm gonna make you so mad or like so depressed, so unworthy that your only way out is basically to just die, you know?
Yeah, and then the detail of it all, it's not even like, I'm gonna make you miserable, you're gonna kill yourself. It's like, you're gonna slit your own throat. I'm happy she got out of it.
Me too. I did. I'm happy. It took a while, but it could have been way worse,
Yeah, I think they were only married for about a year, if I'm not mistaken. So they wasn't even married that long for him to be so dedicated for her life to end.
Exactly. Let's move on to Chris Brown and Rihanna. I'm sure everybody knows.
Yeah.
Right? So famous. Chris Brown and Rihanna is an example of physical abuse. In 2009, Chris attempted to push his then girlfriend, Rihanna, out of the car, banging her head against the passenger door window, followed by punches, hitting her over and over repeatedly. Then verbally threatened her that he would beat her again once they got home. Fearing for her life, Rihanna called for help and had him arrested. She was hospitalized. Chris pledged Chris pledged guilty and was sentenced to 5 years of probation and and having to commit to 180 days of community service.
I mean, 5 years of probation, but it didn't stop his career. 5 years of probation, and there's still females idolizing him, wanting to be with him. I remember,
which I think is like crazy, you know, like usually when abuse allegations like this come up, or actual proof of abuse allegation comes up like that, everybody's quick to like bash the male, you know. But in this case, it was just totally different. Like, he literally got off scot-free.
I mean, he did, you know, he got the 5 years of probation, but it basically does seem as though it was scot-free because he was still making music. He was still doing what he does, you know. And not only that, I do remember Rihanna being blamed. I do remember Rihanna being called a liar. And it wasn't through the court. It wasn't through, you know, family members. It was literally through the fans of Chris Brown, because they didn't believe. Well, they refused to believe that he would do something like this. And normally, that's exactly how it is. You know, you'd never suspect a certain person to be that type of way until it's actually too late for it, you know? And that is so crazy how the one who was being abused, the one that showed the signs of abuse, the one that was hospitalized for physically being abused, was the one that was being blamed. And most of the time, people are like that, where it's like, oh, well, what did you do to make him want to do that? And it's like,
it doesn't matter what he did, you know.
Basically,
like, that's my thing. Like, it doesn't matter what he did. Like, literally,
she
beat
did.
her up.
It doesn't matter.
What she did. Yeah, like what she did. He like literally beat her up. Like,
he even bit her. I remember that as well. That I think it was like her ear or something. Like, how angry do you have to be to bite somebody? You know, like, I understand if they would have gotten into a fist fight, because sometimes females do take it overboard and they become the physical abuser. And then when they get hit, it's like, oh my God, you hit me. And it's just like the way the Bible says it, do unto others as you want them to you. I wouldn't want my husband beating me, therefore I'm not going to sit there and beat my husband, you know. But a male's strength always overpowers a female's strength, because they're just genetically created that way. So it's like,
so when he bit her, it was more like, I own you type thing. I feel like
crazy.
That's probably what it was.
I don't know, but it's just, you went out of your way to bite somebody. Like, you're not 3 anymore. And that is just so sad. And I feel for Rihanna, because again, she was the one being blamed. She was the one that wasn't being believed. And there were photos.
There was actual proof. There was evidence right in people's faces, and they refused to accept that. So
yeah, because the person that they idolize, oh, he can never. Clearly he did. And that makes me so sad, you know?
How about the case of Emma Roberts and Evan Peters?
I don't even know who Emma Roberts or Evan Peters are. I'm sorry. Sorry you guys are hearing this.
Emma did Scream Queens, and I believe Evan Peters did he was an X-Men. He was that fast dude. I forgot his name.
Flash?
And he also Flash, was it? Okay.
No, wait, Flash is not in X-Men.
No, no.
Oh my gosh.
I'm talking about X-Men.
And I never watched Scream Queens, you said? I've never even watched that one either.
Yeah, I've seen that. It's really good. You know,
Is
she's
that
Chanel #1.
Was what's her face? Ariana Grande was in that, right?
I think Ariana Grande was Chanel #2.
I have no idea. I know I've seen part of an episode where she was like dying and decided to post it up on social media.
Yeah.
I didn't even see that episode. I seen that.
Hilarious.
Yeah, like I didn't see the show, but I did see that scene being posted on Facebook and things like that. And I was like, what the heck is that? Like, who dies and does this?
She's like, I'm being killed. You know, typing it all out, and then all of a sudden she's like, ugh. And then she's like, wait, enter.
I've never seen that. I mean, I've seen that scene, but I've never seen the show itself.
It was really funny. It was really funny. It was supposed to be, I guess, a horror comedy. You know, which
okay,
was different. It was funny. I liked it. But let me get back into this. Emma was arrested in 2013 in Canada while both being in a physical altercation with one another. Emma bit and gave Peter Evans. Wow. Evan Peters a bloody nose. She was arrested.
What is with everybody biting?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh, they gotta eat.
I have no idea. She was arrested since she caused the most physical damage, but the charges were soon later dropped, and they both decided it was best to break up and go their separate ways. Their relationship was too toxic to fight for, and for once, I have to agree with that decision. This could have ended very badly for either one of them.
Yeah, I agree as well. The best thing they could have done, being that they were both physically abusive towards one another, the best thing that they could have done is to go to separate. So I applaud them because they were mature enough. They didn't sit there and was like, if I can't have you, no one can. And, you know, like that wasn't the mental perspective that they had. Instead, it's just like, you know what, like it's not even worth it. There's a lot that's at stake. Let's just...
I mean, they loved each other so much because, I mean, you know, someone has to love each other. And like they always say, like, if you love someone, you got to let them go. Especially when you know that it's so toxic, you know? So, and from what I've read, it was really toxic. Their relationship was extremely toxic.
I would have to Google their names after this episode. I'm so sorry again. But the fact that they, you know, decided and were mature about the situation, I am proud of both of them, whoever you are.
Yeah. Yeah. Now let's move on to the famous Johnny Depp and Amber Heard.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Yeah. In 2016, Heard filed for divorce and a temporary restraining order on Johnny, claiming he was physically and verbally abusive towards her. There were photos, audios, and videos that was submitted to court and on all social platforms, from arguments to fights, but no records of him being physically abusive. There were texts of him verbally insulting Amber. We heard some of those verbal ones that have me be like, to very close, like he would like text it to very close members, but not directly to her, you know? He did seem to mimic her during certain arguments, you know, like when you argue, you're like, you know?
I mean, we could all be immature from time to time.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. And which he seemed to be like super irritated with Amber, you know, like super irritated and have annoyance towards it, which is understandable, you know, because like someone to constantly be, you know, bashing you over and over again, all you could do is just be like, whatever, you know, like like you can do that. But let's go again.
I mean, he did lose out on a whole bunch of everything, you know. Disney dropped him from continuing on with the Pirates Caribbean. A lot of contracts that he was in within the US of A, they decided to no longer partake with him because they didn't want to be associated with someone who was known as, you know, an abuser, especially to a female. So I could understand as to why he was annoyed. I can understand as to why he was irritated with just her sight, because so much happened to him that he did not publicize. And then she was walking around acting as though she was the innocent one. And I'm happy at the sense that she was found to be guilty and not him, because the stereotype is that the guys are always the abusive ones and the females are always the victim. And in reality, study shows that a lot more men are in physical abusive relationships than the females are. But they don't say anything because they're embarrassed, they're ashamed, because they are the physical stronger one, and instead they're being beaten by their wife or their girlfriend or whoever.
It affects their ego. Yeah, it
Yeah,
affects their ego because men are supposed to be like the
the strong
strong
ones. Yeah.
men. Yeah.
So I
Like,
definitely can see his frustration. I can see the anger. I can see, the disbelief, maybe the disgust, you know,
yeah,
because
yeah,
he dealt with her, he sat with her, he married her, and all the things that were coming out during the court, and the way that we were able to witness it, it's horrible. The things that she
yeah,
did to him,
mm,
and it's not like I'm 100% happy, but I'm happy that this was publicized to
yeah,
let it be known that it's not just the females who are in abusive relationships, that it can be males who are stuck in that type of situation. And believe it or not, the physical abuse is not the only kind of abuse that's available in relationships, whether it's, married, dating, friendships,
mm-hmm.
parents, like any kind of relationship, there can be some kind of abuse. So, in a sad way, I'm happy that this was publicized so that we can be able to see once again that it's not always the guys hurting the females. The females are very much capable of doing the same exact thing.
Exactly, exactly. But after the lawsuit in court, Amber continued to
Right.
attack Johnny, and if it's not her, it's someone close to her. It's odd for a victim claiming to want peace and move on, but she's doing the complete opposite to me. You know?
Yeah, that's bullying.
Mm-hmm.
And then this goes again with what I was saying earlier, where it's like it's not only the females that get, in these type of relationships, because he's minding his own business. Like he's minding his own business, doing his own thing. And here she comes in and it's just like, I see you. I can imagine her texting. Like, oh, you think you're better than me? You think because you won? That would
Right?
that would
And
piss
like,
me off.
yeah, and like somebody he went on to court and he was like, I don't care whether I win, I don't care if I lose, I don't care any of that. He's like, I just want the truth to be out, you know? That's all he said. That's all he wanted. Like he didn't care. You know? He said either way I'm gonna move on with my life or try to move on away from this. I just wanted people to see. I wanted to show my truths. And he
And
finally
I
got that
saw.
because during the whole yeah, like during the whole thing, like even when she was bashing him like years ago, she was bashing him on social media during her speeches and stuff like that. She would bash him and stuff like that. She might have not named him, but everybody knew who she was talking about. Like
Everybody knew.
everybody knew
But
who she was talking
if we're
about.
gonna be honest, being that I mentioned it earlier in the case prior of not knowing who Emma Roberts and Evan Peters is, I never knew who Amber Heard was. And I don't know if I'm naive when it comes to like the famous people. I don't know if
Yeah.
mentally you got to be a certain kind of famous in order, like a kind of level of famous in order for me to recognize who you are. But I remember during this case, you and I were talking, and I was not aware that she was in Aquaman.
I didn't know either. In all honesty, I didn't.
I
I didn't know
never
who she
remembered
was.
her.
Yeah, her face is like it's literally forgettable, you know? Her face is forgettable to me because she's been in so many movies that I have watched but don't remember. Like she was in Zombieland. She was in Drive, what is it? Drive Angry or something like that with Nicolas Cage. She was in a lot of movies. She just I
I
don't remember her.
I don't like. I never knew she was famous. I thought he went and just married a normal, regular person. Like, I thought she was just another me walking down the street, and it was like, oh my god, like she got so lucky. And then to find out that she was the co-star, I think it is, to Aquaman.
The
Like,
co-star from
excuse me,
yeah.
you was next to Jason Momoa, and I didn't even know who you were. Like, I wasn't even jealous of you there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I didn't pay attention to her character in Aquaman in all honesty. I was more
I
focused on Aquaman than it was her.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would not be able to notice anybody else, to be honest with you. But like Chris Brown and Rihanna, I've heard of them. Emma Roberts and Evan Peters, I've never heard of them, so no disrespect to them. But Amber Heard is the same thing. It was like, who are you? And then I remember you telling me like, yo, she was in Aquaman. I'm like, you a liar. Like, stop spreading these lies. And you're like, no, she really was. Like, she was the redhead. It was like, what? You know,
Yeah, she's supposed to be
like
the main lead.
when Ike and Tina Turner, you know, like it's like I can put those faces together with him being abusive and, you know, eat the cake anime and all of this stuff. And it's just like, okay, I know who you are. But with her, I never did it.
It
And
just
no
doesn't click.
lie,
Yeah. She's a forgettable, not unforgettable. I don't know why I keep saying unforgettable, but she's a forgettable
I mean, her name is
character.
gonna be unforgettable now, you know, because
Yeah.
we're always gonna, personally, I feel like we're always gonna associate her as the one that, you know, severed Johnny Depp's finger off. Because that's
Yeah, and
something.
pooped on his bed
and
because that's like the
Turd, yeah.
most thing. Yeah, and then I stepped on a bee, you know.
No, her dog. Her dog stepped on a bee.
Yeah, right.
You know, we're
Stepped on
definitely,
her dog.
I just want to make sure that we just let, you know, our audience know, like, we're not making fun of the situations because abuse is abuse. But we're just not fans of Amber Heard. And not her personally, but what she did, because obviously we don't know her on a personal level. We didn't even acknowledge who she was in, you know, particular movies and things like that. But what
Yeah.
she did and the way that she went about it, trying to be, what would you call it, an ambassador for domestic
An
violence
ambassador
victims?
for this. Yep.
You know, like she did all that and she vowed to donate the money that Johnny Depp had gave her and all this stuff. And the way that it did come out in court, she never even did anything that she had vowed to do. So I have a lot of personal, I don't want to say disrespect towards her, but I don't respect her as a person because she didn't
Yeah.
follow through on anything. And there was a lot of things that she brought up that seemed to be lies, and lying is one of my biggest pet peeves that a person can do. I mean, I got
My
plenty,
thing
but
is
that's
like
my
no,
number
but
one.
like my thing is like show me the proof. You know what I'm saying? Show me the evidence. That's like even though certain abuse, you know, you can't really document everything, but this woman literally was documenting everything, you know? So I expect her to show me the proof that he hit her. Like show me all of the proof aside from the 3 photos that you submitted, you know? That's how I feel about that. But yeah, like she submitted so many audios, so many videos, but it
Yeah.
always came
No,
out. It
like, I
came
don't
seem
think-
as though she manipulated it type thing. You
Yeah,
know?
I
It
don't
just came
think
out
that
way.
she could sit there and literally be on some like, wait, don't punch me yet. Let me get it on camera. So she's not going to be able to actually catch the hits, you know? But being that she was able to catch him sleeping and, you know, purposely record what was being done, maybe not the hits, but every time if there was a hit, you would document that. Like I would expect videos to be like, look, this is how I look, and turn your face and show it all around to have it documented.
Exactly.
You know, like
Exactly.
there would
Like
be
when
more proof
he-
in that sense, but not an actual video of him like
Yeah, like
mid-air.
when yeah, like when they had the whole altercation and supposedly her sister was there, and he went ahead and threw all her clothes down the stairs and stuff like that. She had pictures of all of that. She had pictures of him writing on the window, on the mirrors and stuff like that. Basically drawing blood all over her paintings and stuff like that. She had pictures of all of that, but she didn't have pictures of him,
What happened to
you know,
her?
of herself, exactly.
Yeah.
But she took pictures of everything else. Like, how are you gonna take pictures of everything else but don't sit there and take pictures of what you look like at that moment, you know?
That's what kind of made it a little doubtful. I don't doubt that there wasn't any kind of abuse. Like maybe there wasn't that physical abuse, but definitely there had to be verbal abuse through
yeah,
the
of
text
course.
messages that he
You
was
read the
sending.
text
Because
messages.
if he can send it to other people, I could just imagine what he was telling her, you know. So that's just to show that it's like abuse is not just physical. And sometimes when I was listening to what was going on, it's like, oh my God, like what type of conversations was taking place that it led for her to feel as though she had to be physical towards him? You know, there's some people that need a motive and there's other people who are just the way that they are. So I was definitely invested in this case. I was not invested in other ones. And I think maybe that's why we're going more in depth on this particular case, because they invited us in. So I guess we have more opinions based off of this one. But it's the same thing with like Chris Brown and Rihanna. I believe it was something along the lines where he was cheating and he was talking to some girl. And I believe, I could be wrong, that Rihanna took his phone to try to see who he was talking to, and he demanded his phone back and she refused to give it back to him. And that's how everything started, because they were fighting over the phone. It was something in that sense. So I could understand where the aggravation and, you know, all of that started to build up. It's still no excuse to lay hands or teeth on a person, but it's just like, did she hit him first and then he retaliated by hitting her back? You know, because if she just grabbed the phone and he did that, then it's just like, ay, te pasaste, you know, like you just overdid it. But this, she'd hit him and then he just reacted, because there's a lot of people whose reactions are really fast. You know, like if you go and you tap somebody on the shoulder, they're like ready to fight. I know with my husband, if he's not expecting me and I'm like, rah, you know, like he'll just like, his hands are up real quick, like he's ready to punch it. I'm like, yo, like simmer down. It's not that serious. You can relax. Or he does it to me when I'm in the bathroom and he'll wait in the dark, real silent. When I open the door, he's screaming like, rah. And the first thing I'm doing is like, I'm either pushing him, punching his chest, slapping him on his forehead. And then right after, I'm slamming the door. And this is happening in like a millisecond. You know, so there are reactions that, you know, people do afterwards. So it makes me so curious as to like what was going on in these relationships that they felt so freely or so comfortable to be on some like, yeah, I'm gonna lay hands on you, or I'm gonna verbally attack you, and you know, things like that, where it's like, when did you guys start to lose that respect for one another? And that's how I said with Emma Roberts and Evan Peters, I applaud them because they were like, you know what, this is not working. Let's separate, because God forbid they could have stood together and one of them could have been dead. Because if Emma was arrested in 2013 and we're basically towards the ending of 2022, it's almost 10 years. So God forbid how much more violent that could have gotten if they did not decide to split.
Exactly. It could have gone either way. She could have killed him or he could have killed her. You know, it could have gone either way. It all depends on how it all